Hi everyone, it is alenajingle, and today I am back with the next video in the series I've been doing on names from the books I'm reading, and in particular names from the Anne of Green Gables book series. So in this video I'm going to be talking about book 3. This is called Anne of the Island. In this book it covers Anne from ages 18 through 22 in her 4 years at Redmond College. So like I've mentioned in the last videos, the names I talk about are not the names of the main characters, but are rather the names that I find most interesting, or names that I love from these books. So I'm going to be talking about 10 names today, and the first name I'd like to talk about is Albert. This is an English form of a German name that means noble brightness, really strong, cool meaning. There is a beautiful epitaph in the book Anne of the Island about an Albert Crawford. That's where he's mentioned in the book. I think Bert names need to come back. I know not everybody agrees with that, but I think they're adorable and handsome. Think Gilbert Blythe, am I right? And Albert is a name that's in a lot of people's family trees. And yeah, I think this name is so adorable, and Albie could be a super cute nickname for a little boy named Albert. The next name I would like to mention from this book is Alonzo. It is an Italian name that means ready nobility, and in the story Anne has a very funny little college friend named Philippa who goes by Phil as a nickname, and she talks all the time about her two beaux back home named Alec and Alonzo. Alec I think is really handsome too. I actually have a friend that has a son named Silas Alonzo, which I think is crazy gorgeous, and I think this name is just adorable and totally needs to be used more as a first name in the US. The next name I'd like to talk about from this book is Leon. This is an English name that means lion, of course. Leon is a little boy mentioned very briefly to Anne in a letter written by her little adopted brother slash son named Davy. And I have always thought this name was very handsome and adorable. Leo is in the top 100 boy names right now, and so I really think Leon is ready for a comeback. The next name I'd like to talk about from this book is Jamesina. This is a feminine form of the name James, which means supplanter, and the Jamesina in this book goes by Jimsie as a nickname, which I think is crazy adorable. So in the last 2 years at school, Anne rooms with 3 of her close college friends, and the aunt of one of them comes to live with them to help keep the house and take care of them. And they call her Aunt Jimsie, and she is a wonderful little character. I love that association, and I think these grand feminine forms of masculine names like Jamesina are totally ready for a comeback, and I adore them. The next name I'm going to talk to you guys about is the one that I am most excited to share with you guys, and that is Atossa. When I saw this name on the character Aunt Atossa in this book, who was an aunt of Anne's close friend Diana, I thought for sure it was just an old invented name, and I was so surprised and really, really excited to see it's not an old invented name. This is a Persian name that means trickling well, which I think is wonderful. And Atossa is historically known as the daughter of the Persian king Cyrus, who is mentioned in the book of Daniel in the Bible, who marries the Persian king Darius, who is also mentioned in the book of Daniel in the Bible. This makes me love this name so much. I think it is so adorable. It's really similar to Tessa, which is a very beloved name in the US, and Addie, A-T-T-I-E, could be a very accessible nickname for it. The next name I'd like to mention to you guys is Averill. This is an English form of the male name Averill, which means boar battle. But what is really interesting about this name being in Anne of the Island is that Anne writes a little novel in it, and she names her female protagonist Averill. Obviously today it's really common for boy names to be used on girls, but it was not quite as common back then, so that was very interesting to me. She saw Averill as a romantic feminine name. The next name I'm going to talk to you guys about is a name most of you won't like, totally understandable, but I've never heard it talked about in a name video before, and that is Dorcas. This is a Greek name that means gazelle, and Dorcas Sloane is briefly mentioned again by Davy in a letter to Anne in this book. But Dorcas is a fascinating name because it is a biblical name, and it is the name of Tabitha in the Bible. Those names are used interchangeably, and Tabitha had passed away, and there was all these people mourning her because she was very loved, and Peter raised her from the dead in the Bible. I think that is fascinating. I totally understand why people in the US wouldn't want to use Dorcas, but I do think this name would be great for people who don't speak English as a first language to use. My next name I'd like to talk to you guys about is Marr. This is a German name that means swamp, and of course Marr in the English language spelled with one R isn't really a great word to name a child, but I thought it was really fascinating that someone had used this as a first name in this book. Marr is someone briefly mentioned as one of the suitors of Anne's friend Philippa, nicknamed Phil again, and I had never seen this name before. The next name I'd like to talk to you guys about from this book is Royal. This is of course an English word that means regal, and these regal, royalty, royal names are really trending right now in the US in general, but especially for celebrity babies. Royal Gardner is the name of Anne's beau in the majority of this book, and she calls him Roy as a nickname. I think this name is absolutely adorable and totally needs to be used more. And the last name I'd like to talk to you guys about from this book is Janet. Janet is a diminutive of Jane, which means God's grace, and Janet is just briefly mentioned as a little schoolgirl in the book. But I personally feel like this name is ready for a comeback. I'm really loving names that a lot of people would consider dated, such as Karen and Kathleen and Jeanette, and I think Janet would be, at the very minimum, make a very fresh, fun middle name for your little girl in 2016. Those are all the names I have for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day.